So guys, I wanted to talk about the Registered Education Savings Plan, which is the one thing that every parent must have. So the Registered Education Savings Plan, or the RESP, is another great tool created by the government, similar to the RRSP and the TFSA, except the RESP, Registered Education Savings Plan, as the name says, is for education. To be more specific, it's for the post-secondary education of your children. So that's why it's something that every parent must have. So basically the government encourages parents to force their children to pursue post-secondary education so that they can have a better job, a better salary, a better quality of life. And to encourage parents to do so, the government gives grants. So how a registered education savings plan works exactly is, first of all, you have to have a child. So once you have a child, you can open an RESP as soon as they're born. So how it works is a parent contributes to the RESP, and in return, the government will match up to a certain percentage the contribution. Once the child enters post-secondary education, then the parent can withdraw their contributions, plus the government grants, plus the interest that was collected throughout the years. So it is a long-term investment. It could take between 15 to 18 years before the child enters post-secondary education. But your money, you could see your investment grow really fast because the government matches up to 45% of your investment. So there are different government departments that give the grants. So for someone who lives in Quebec, for example, first of all, you get the federal side and the states and the province side. Not all provinces offer something. For example, in Ontario, you only get the federal side. But in Quebec, for example, you'd first get the federal side, which is the CESG, Canada Education Savings Grant. So for example, if a parent contributes, so there is a maximum that you can contribute to the RESP, a lifetime maximum of $50,000. But in my opinion, the true maximum should be between $30,000 and $36,000. And I'm going to explain why. So first of all, if a parent contributes, for example, $2,500 per year, the CESG, the Canada Education Savings Grant, will add a 20% contribution from their side. So if a parent puts $2,500 in an RESP, CESG will pay $500. So your $2,500 will go to $3,000 just with one grant. And then you have the CLB, the Canada Learning Bond. So the CESG is a percentage of the contribution. Parent puts $1,000, they're only going to get $200 because it's only 20%. If a parent puts $2,000, they're going to get $400. If they put $2,500, they're going to get $500. But the CLB, the Canada Learning Bond, that's not a percentage. It's a fixed amount, and it depends on your family income. Usually, you have to be a low income earner to get the CLB, which is a fixed amount. First year, it's $500, and in the following 15 years, it's $100 per year. So the maximum you can get from the CLB, the Canada Learning Bond, is $2,000. But not everyone gets it because you have to be in the low income earners. But the CSG, the Canada Education Savings Grant, everyone gets it. Regardless of their income, everyone gets 20% of the contribution, up to a maximum of $500 per year, and a lifetime maximum of $7,200. So the maximum the government can give in terms of the CESG, the Canada Education Savings Grant, is $7,200, which is 20% of your contribution. So if you take $7,200 divided by 20%, you get $36,000. So that's why I was saying the maximum that you should contribute to the RESP is about $36,000, because you won't be getting any more government grants after that. $36,000 will allow you to get $7,200 from the CESG, the Canada Education Savings Grant. If you contribute more than $36,000, you're not getting any more grants. So there's no point adding more to the RESP if you're not getting anything extra from the government grant. So you've got the CESG, which is a percentage of your contribution, 20% of your contribution, a maximum of $500 per year, and a lifetime maximum of $7,200. So if you want to get the full $7,200, you need to contribute $36,000 in the full 15 or 18 years of the investment. So usually it's $2,500 per year for 15 years. You've got the CLB, which is a fixed amount. You don't have to contribute to get the CLB. You can get $500 per year for the first year, and then it's $100 for the following 15 years, giving you a lifetime maximum of $2,000, whether you contribute or not, as long as you open an RESP and you're a low income earner. So not everyone qualifies for the CLB. And depending on the province you live in, for example, in Quebec, you get an extra 10% on your contribution. So if you contribute $2,500 per year, you're going to get $250 from Quebec. And this one also has a lifetime maximum of 3,600. So in Quebec, you can actually get 7,200 from the CESG. You can get 3,600 from Quebec, called the Quebec Education Savings Incentive. And you can get the CLB, Canada Learning Bond, but not everyone qualifies for it. But what everyone can qualify for is the CESG and the Quebec Education Savings Incentive. So the 7,200 and the 3,600, everyone can qualify for. So that's about 10,800. So you can go get $10,800 in government grants just by opening a registered education savings plan and contributing $2,500 per year for 15 years. You'd be getting from the CSG, you'd be getting $500 per year, and from Quebec, for example, Quebec Education Savings Incentive, you would be getting $250 per year. And all that plus interest accumulates, and after 15, 18 years, you can end up with triple your money. And you can only withdraw it when your child pursues post-secondary education. You can withdraw the whole amount, basically. Now, what happens if your child does not pursue post-secondary education? You can transfer it to another child. If that's not the case, then the government grants have to go back. So your contributions are not lost. The interest you gained on your contributions are not lost. The interest you gained on the government grants are yours, but the government grants have to go back. So it's almost a no risk, because even if your child does not pursue post-secondary education, you got money up front that you got to invest, you collect the interest, and then you just give back the capital, but you get to keep the interest, and then you can transfer the whole amount to your RSP. But let's say the child does pursue post-secondary education, you can withdraw your contributions tax-free. The child withdraws the rest. The child withdraws the government grants plus the interest, and it's going to be taxable on the child's income. So the advantage there is that the child, usually when they're pursuing their post-secondary education, either they're not working, so they have no income, or they have a low income. So they're going to be paying either no taxes or very little taxes on the withdrawal. So it's also a tax shelter, I guess. So it's an easy way to make 30% on your investment. Obviously capped at $2,500 per year, or 36,000 lifetime. So 36,000 can get you 10,800 for free from the government, just for having a child and making sure that your child pursues post-secondary education. Now, for low-income earners, I mentioned the CLB, the Canada Learning Bond, which is a fixed amount, which is not dependent on the contribution you make. You don't even have to make a contribution to get the CLB. But when you're in a low income, when the net family income is in a certain bracket, you can get more from the CESG and the Quebec Education Savings Incentive. From the Canada Education Savings Grant, the CESG, you can get an additional 10% on the first $500 that you contribute. So instead of getting $500 per year from the CSG, you can get $600 per year. But the maximum lifetime is still going to be $7,200. So the real advantage of that is, instead of contributing $36,000, you can only contribute $30,000, and you're going to get the $7,200. So that's the difference. For low income earners, they can contribute less. So low income earners can contribute less to get the same maximum lifetime government grant available, which is $7,200 plus the $3,600 from Quebec Education Savings Incentive. So for Quebec, instead of getting 10%, you can get an additional 10% on the first $500 contributed also. So instead of getting $250, you can get $300 per year. But it's still going to be a lifetime maximum of $3,600. It's just that you can get that amount by contributing less. So that's the only difference. But to summarize, the RESP really is a great product. If your child is going to pursue post-secondary education anyways, just open an RESP, contribute to your RESP. You get at least 30% for free from the government. All that is invested, and after 15 or 18 years, if you're making, let's say 10%, if you're making 10% return per year, you can see your money grow to 100,000 or more. Now, the only issue with the RSP is where you can invest it. Lots of places offer it. You can open an RESP at a bank. You could open it at an insurance company like Sun Life. You could open it with RESP promoters like Knowledge First Financial or Universitas. You can even trade on the stock market with an RSP. So I actually have an RESP with Investor's Edge. The only problem is you can't buy US stocks. Or you could, but as soon as you sell them, it settles in Canadian instead of settling in US, and so giving you the option to convert back to Canadian whenever you feel like the rate is attractive. So in an RESP, when you trade on the stock market, it's best to buy Canadian stocks. If you're going to buy US stocks, it's going to be a little bit more complicated, because you're forced to settle in Canadian every time, so the conversion might not be beneficial. I'm going to open an RESP with Questrade this week because their conversion rates are better. So even if I have to settle in Canadian as soon as I sell my US holding, at least with Questrade, I'm going to have a better conversion rate. So British Columbia, so BC offers a government grant also for the residents of BC, and I think Saskatchewan also offers one too. So I'll provide a link below explaining what these two provinces offer, but it's pretty much similar. I think one of them is a percentage and the other one is a fixed amount. So basically only British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and Quebec are the only provinces that offer an additional government grant on top of the federal grant. So the federal grant is the CESG and the CLB, and the big difference between all the places where you can open an RESP is how the money is invested and the fees, of course, and the way you can withdraw it. So banks, they have MER fees, which is sort of like hidden fees because you don't really feel it, but it ends up being a lot at the end. And depending on the type of risk you want to take, that'll determine the return that you can get. Insurance companies, same thing. Usually RESP promoters will have the safest returns, usually like 5% or lower, but they'll take a big chunk. They'll take fees up front. And some of them do offer the option to repay the fees, or you could trade on the stock market if you want to take the risk, and that's where you'll get the highest return. If you have any questions about the Registered Education Savings Plan, leave them in the comments below or send me a message directly via my website. Link will be provided below. If you're going to open an account with Questrade, use my referral code in the description below the video so you can get between $25 and $250 depending on your initial deposit. Thanks for watching.